Hi, Frederike.
Hi.
Great that we can have a moment to discuss around International Women's Day, your experiences. My name is Occo. I'm the Managing Director for the Netherlands. And you are?
Frederike Schmidt-Krans, Business Unit Director of Flexhuis.
Awesome. We're going to dive straight into it. I have 4 questions in front of me, and I hope we can do them all in the time span we have. And as I said, we're diving in straight away. So, what are some of the biggest career decisions you have made, and how did you go about them?
Well, I think I have 3 most important times in my life. First, of course, the start of my career. I think that was about 20 years ago. It's a long time already. Starting in the staffing industry. 12 years ago, starting a business, and almost 1 year ago, selling the business.
That was an awesome moment indeed.
That was an awesome moment, yes. Yeah.
Are there maybe pick one out, starting a business as a woman?
Yeah. Well, of course, that was a quite exciting time of my life. First of all, you need to dare to make the step. And I still believe the doors will be opened and you still have to step in. You can walk by or step in. I stepped in. It was, like I said, it was exciting, but I was really convinced of the product we had. And I actually never regretted for a moment. And of course, it was we had some quite hard times during the years, but I always had really much fun. I learned a lot, and it just brought me where I am now.
And because I think starting a business is challenging for everyone, man, woman, or however you identify. What was extra consideration for you as a woman?
Well, the extra consideration was, I think, a 2-year-old daughter that I had to raise, and of course with my husband then, but it makes you think twice before you step in something like this, because it's really hard work. You really have to make sacrifices. You're not always there. And when you have small children, that's quite a challenge.
Well, it actually leaps into the next question, and knowing a little bit about you, this also, now in my head I'm doing the math, this means that your second child was born right after founding the company.
Yeah, I was 34, so I think we were ahead 3 or 4 years. I had an easy pregnancy, so during that time it all went fine. I had a less easy birth of my son, and that was quite challenging because you actually don't have your days off. We didn't have a big team by then. We still have to work even when you're pregnant or when you just had your child born. So I think I never really I was never on leave by that time, and that's something that's different tough from when you're not an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And that was tough, but yeah, in the end.
So you had a 0-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a company in startup phase.
Yes. Yeah.
Sounds like exciting times.
Challenging, we call it challenging.
Yeah. Do you have any lessons from that period which you would, or any advice you would give somebody? Maybe don't do it, or
don't get pregnant. No. It was a choice. I think my advice is, if you want it, you can do it. But you do need to recognize that it requires planning, but it also requires sacrifices. And I think if you accept those sacrifices, and I mean that, like I said, you're not always there. Your social life is not as big maybe as you want it to be. The work just keeps on going. But if you make the choice of doing it, you can manage.
That's great advice. Yeah. Thank you. That leads me into the next question from a slightly different angle. Did you ever face any discrimination or, in a lighter form, bias based on gender? Yeah,
well, unfortunately, I think in many industries this is this is still the case. So there's still discrimination about gender, about sexuality, about race. I don't think I ever experienced discrimination like that. But I do remember one time, and that was in the beginning of my career. I think I was 23 or 24 years old, and I don't know how we got there, but my employer asked me, okay, write your ambition down in a plan, because I wanted to make a step up. And I was still quite young. I did. I was called in with the management team. They were sitting with 8 leaders in a room. And the first thing they said, well, the plan you made is way too ambitious. This is never going to happen. And they really laughed in my face at that time.
Okay.
And I could leave. So I was completely shocked. I was hurt. Went home. Next day, I decided I'm here and I'm going to do it and I'm going to prove them wrong. And I did, because I'm here right now.
Yeah, awesome. And this is how I got to know you in the last 12 months as somebody who gets things done.
Yes.
Do you think that people would have... Can you tell me a little bit about the setting of that room? 8 people?
Yeah. 8 people sitting on a...
Like the X Factor?
Around the table.
Yeah.
We have a beautiful office, so it has really high walls.
Yeah.
The corridor to the room was also very long. I still dream about it. Walking through that corridor, opening the door, and they were all sitting there in front of me.
Yeah. A male, female mix?
Male, most male, one female, but I think she was the toughest one.
Okay.
And and I just stood there, and they said like what I just said before.
Okay.
And then I could leave the room.
Incredible situation.
Incredible situation.
About in general, just supporting the talent we have in an organization.
Exactly.
This is a weird situation. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the important thing is that I stepped over it. But there are many people who it does something with the confidence. So you can also break people down if you're not, if you're acting like that.
Okay. Within our local team, we talk a lot about work-life balance. You just mentioned a little bit about that, and I think we all recognize if you want to achieve something, sometimes you need to do the extra step. Yeah. But I think as a dad, it's different for a mother. I recognize the difference. Is there ever been a time where you had the feeling you had to choose between personal goals, family goals, versus business goals or business opportunities?
To be honest, I think it's a choice you have to make every day. You're going to work. I want to pick up my kids from school. We go home. They know I need to work. I go into the calls, and thank God for the remote way of working in these times. So I think it's a challenge you face every day. But it's not a problem. So and I think if you accept that fact, and that it is the way it is, and if you want to make career, you need to make that extra mile. You need to make your hours. You cannot work 24 hours and expect to make the career maybe you want. So unless it's a choice, you want to work like that, and then you have more balance between your personal life and your working life. With me, it's a lot of work, and the personal life. Yeah, sometimes we do make sacrifices in that.
I recognize that. Yeah. Thank you for your time today. I think we used all the minutes we got allocated. So thank you.
Thank you.